Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. We saw the OIC emergency session, we saw the address of the caretaker Prime Minister Anwarul Haq Kakar also, and the other heads of state yesterday. Of course, there's no doubt that the Muslim world stands in solidarity with the plight of the Palestinians at this time. At the same time, we are looking at Israel's allies refusing to budge on the issue of ceasefire. We're going to be talking about what options are available at this time, even if we talk about diplomatically, to get Israel to agree to a ceasefire at this time, which is really the only solution for those at this time who are bleeding, those that are being killed every day, the children that are dying, the massacre that is happening, the genocide that is happening. We'll be talking about that. I have with me today Dr. Mansoor Akbar Kundi, who is an IR expert. Thank you for being with us today. We also have with us Dr. Hamid Almashrqi, who is a foreign affairs expert. Thank you for joining us today. A little later on, we'll also be talking about politics, of course, as the elections now loom near, and the date of 8th February is going to be coming very soon. We'll be talking about the ramifications of political parties and their allies. And of course, we saw what's happening is with the PMLN and its allies now in Karachi. What kind of a look can we expect for the general elections now in Punjab also? We'll be talking about that, what to expect in the next couple of weeks from different political parties as the landscape of the next elections becomes perhaps clearer in terms of the party positions. What can we expect? All of that today on Perspective. Let me go with Dr. Mansoor Akbar Kundi. Dr. Mansoor, like I said, as far as the Palestinians are concerned, there's really no solution except a ceasefire at this time. And yet we are looking at Israel's allies, like for example the US, which can actually make a difference, refusing to budge on this issue. What do you think are the options left for the Muslim world also now to agitate on this very important issue diplomatically? Of course, because those really are the only options now open to us.
Karl Marx said the world has been interpreted in different ways. The real thing is to change it. The question is, we need a change, and some positive change in favor of Palestinians and what's going on at the OIC level, UN Security Council level, Arab League level. It's a very sad tale of repression, occupation, and now aggression. If you go deeper into history, I believe Hamas was left with no choice, because the world is so crudely divided into three: the first world, second world, third world. I myself studied in two of American universities long ago. America can never see an Islamic country becoming second world or first world.
But Dr. Mansoor, isn't it true that to those civilians that are dying, those questions are irrelevant? For them at this time, as we discuss this, the issue for them is a ceasefire. When we look at the kind of brutality, there is Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza city has been destroyed. And correct me if I'm wrong, Al-Quds hospital has been declared non-operational by Palestine's Red Crescent Society. There is residential buildings are being attacked. There is, casualties in Israeli attacks on Gaza have reached 11,000, more than 11,000 since October 7. And this is not a very large country to begin with, right? So this looks like a wipeout, does it not?
I agree with you. Gaza and the West Bank, inclusion of Eastern Jerusalem, comprise small areas. But as you mentioned, it has happened. Though in war situation, the first casualty is truth. But here everything is beyond truth. things are in black and white, aggression going on, and the worst suffering comes to civilians. But the ceasefire, I believe, will be good option, and our Prime Minister, caretaker Prime Minister Anwar Khan Kakar mentioned that if they go for that, well and good. I personally believe, being a political analyst, a student of international relation, it won't be good option for Israel. Though Israel is met with resistance, which probably not coming through CNN or BBC, they are Hamas giving them hard time.
Let me come back to you. I'm going to go to Dr. Hamid Almashrqi and then I'll come back to you. Ji, Dr. Hamid, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Dr. Hamid, there is, again, like I'm talking to Dr. Mansoor here, there is the option at this time for the civilians, the deaths that we are seeing is that of a ceasefire. How do we go towards that, in your opinion? We saw the solidarity of the Muslim world yesterday. We saw the way they spoke with one voice against what's happening to the people of Gaza. But how do we go from here to make a difference in trying to get there to be a ceasefire at this time?
Thank you very much. I would say, as we all know that, America or Western world, including Britain and all other major countries, they are backing Israel for all these bombardment and killing and a genocide of Palestinians, which they have done in the last 1 month and 5 days. Over 11,000 people have been killed. Out of that, 4,000 are children, 3,000 are women, over 2,000 are more than the age of 50. So, there is no doubt that it cannot be happened on its own by Israel. It is all the backing of Americans and their allies. But at the same time, I've been on so many international channels, and on a Pakistani channel, I would like to say that I'm very sad that OIC could not call for the for the meeting still after a month and 4 days. 7th October it started, and they are meeting on 11th of November. Isn't it very sad for the Muslim Ummah that all our Palestinian brothers and sisters and kids were dying, and
but
OIC
Dr. Mansoor, Dr. Hamid, before I go to Dr. Mansoor, Dr. Hamid, the question is, there is no doubt that the Muslim world stands united on the issue of what's happening to the Palestinians. There's no doubt that there is one voice. There is no doubt that there is, to the Muslim world, the double standards of the West are being exposed as children die every day in Gaza. But the point is, the effectiveness of countries like, for example, the US, and the stand that they are taking in supporting Israel at this time is something that cannot be overridden. Don't you agree?
I agree. But the stance from the Muslim Ummah has to be stronger than that. Today, South African government have asked for the arrest of the Netanyahu against the war crime he is doing. Belgium Deputy Prime Minister Ms. Starter have called sanctions on Israel. Spain minister have said that the world needs to, ban Israel across the world for their products. This kind of stance we have seen from Belgium, from South Africa.
So when we are looking at this stance from Belgium, when we are looking at even countries like France, and President Macron also acknowledged that there are deaths at this time. Even for him to acknowledge this, that there are civilians are dying, the children are dying, when there is that kind of an... Ji, please continue.
I just want to make a point that there is no doubt that Muslim Ummah is united on the issue of Palestine, but I believe that there is much more. There should be much more stronger voices from the Muslim Ummah should come, because it is a matter of innocent people. And on the other hand, it's not only a Muslim matter, it's a matter of humanitarian grounds. And there is only one way we can do, is that putting a pressure on Americans to go for ceasefire, putting a pressure on United Kingdom to call for ceasefire. We have seen over 1 million people protested in London yesterday for a call for a ceasefire. So this is the only way that we need to put the pressure on Americans and Britain. That is the only way out, because Israel is being backed by them, and that is the only way.
Fair enough. Let me come back to you on that. Dr. Mansoor, you heard what Dr. Hamid is saying. Of course, putting pressure on Israel seems to be the only way forward for the Muslim world, for those that want to raise their voice in solidarity with the Palestinians. But the Palestinian struggle itself, even before October 7th, what we saw, it's a long struggle, it's a long road for them. Isn't that true? Even the Palestinians were fighting for their land much before.
Yeah, no one can deny that. You know, I have carried extensive research on American policies towards Israel where Palestinian concern. They have been meeting injustice here. For example, I tell you, I carried one research article, US veto behavior. US didn't use any veto till 70. In 70, they used veto regarding Rhodesia, well and good. In 72, they used veto on Israel. And then since then, out of 58, around 50 47 vetoes used regarding Israel. Israel would have never done it, make it that simple, had America not been on its back. They support them blindly. Even if they blind people in Palestine and Gaza, they kill them. American humanitarian law, American humanitarian diplomacy, which had roots back in Jeffersonian, and they don't acknowledge that. And what's going on today, had America not supported them, Israel, I believe, would not have gone to that extent. But now the game has started, war going on, whatever. I believe if ceasefire happens, will be good, humanitarian wise. But I doubt in near future Israel is going to do it, because Israel strategically wants Hamas out of Gaza, right?
But does it just want Hamas out of Gaza, or is this about a wipeout for them?
Wipe out, you can say, but again the question is, which is a shield, humanitarian or whatever, population. Population is suffering, because I believe that Hamas fighters are well trained. They are well trained and they gave Israel very tough time. And it's for the first time Hamas gave such a hard time to Israel. But now that the things going on, being a Muslim, we all suffer for that.
Yes.
But now the things are in their ball is in their court. What OIC is going? OIC is as far as America-Israel relationship, Israeli actions in Palestine, West Bank, not now, for the last 20 years. OIC has not been that effective. Yeah, one thing is, as Dr. Saab mentioned, unlike past in West, there is more support for Palestinian now than was before.
But that is true, and I want to talk about that, how the support is unprecedented, the way in the West also. You know, if you look at the rallies that are happening all over the world, whether it's in the US, whether it's in Europe, whether it's in London, you know, the amount of people who are standing up in support and solidarity for the Palestinians is unprecedented, and I don't think there's any two opinions on that.
Yeah, I agree. And the world has become now,
more sensitized.
We would call global village. Now it has become an immediate, closer global village.
Yes.
What's happening here, you can convey the message within no time.
And there is,
all
of
around.
course,
and one thing more. The question which we highlighted, and I believe someone was highlighting today in OIC, that Hamas Palestinians were left with no choice except this, because there had been human rights violation, political, socially, economically, no life left. So in that scenario, a person can be left with no choice.
But you're talking about how there is little choice, but also in a world where organizations like the UN, which are there to safeguard, the humanitarian causes, are also rendered ineffective. What kind of a world is it? Let's look at the world today, where we are looking at children and babies die every day. We are looking at the kind of massacre on this unprecedented level, and yet there are these organizations that are ineffective.
Yeah, they are ineffective as far as
the UN is concerned.
Palestinians, Muslims, their rights concerned.
Yes.
We notice in Kosovo and Bosnia, not very effective.
We're talking. That's what I'm saying. I'm talking about the UN and its ineffectiveness with regard to this.
And what happens if you go deeper? If you study UN policies, politics, 5 powers with veto, particularly America, they have all are equal, but some are more equal.
More equal than others. I want to come to that. Let me go to Dr. Hamid also. Dr. Hamid, there is, all are equal, but some are more equal than others. In that kind of a scenario, is it true that the power of veto itself has played havoc with the effectiveness of the UN?
Definitely. The power of veto has been misused by Americans the most, and it kills the whole purpose of a United Nations, where could be a resolution of the so many disputes, and we have seen that in past as well, in the issue of Kashmir, in the issue of Palestine, and so many other issues. There is no doubt that the power of veto has been misused. At the same time, I have been giving this proposal to so many platforms that we do understand that United Nations is not that effective. We do understand OIC is not that effective. Then it is the time to form another platform such like G8. Why don't powerful Muslim countries come together and make a platform like M8, Muslim 8 more powerful countries, where they can unanimously talk to the world about the issues of Muslims. And it could be Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Iran, Malaysia, Indonesia, UAE. So like 7, 8, 9 powerful Muslim countries.
Hamid, the question here is that in this kind of a scenario right now, when you want there to be a ceasefire as quick as possible, what diplomatic options do we have?
There are only 2 diplomatic options, and that is one is a more influential Muslim countries should put their influence to Americans, such as Saudi Arabia. They can use a weapon of oil. Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and other countries. At the same time, it is the time to see what China and Russia is going to do. At the same time, we have seen very good, as I have mentioned, South African and Belgium and other countries' stance as well. So there is a pressure building up, and I'll tell you, Israel has to go for ceasefire in next 5 to 7 days, because they have achieved their target of killing about 12 to 15,000 Palestinians, which they always say that we will kill 1 and the 15 ratio. If 1 Israeli will die, we will kill at least 15 Palestinians. This is their ratio for the last 50 years. So they have achieved that since Hamas attack have killed about over 1,000 Israelis. So they want to kill 15,000 Palestinians. This is what their war ideology for the last so many years, unfortunately. This is what I say, that there are so many things which could have been done before, but still it needs to be done.
Would you agree with what Dr. Hamid is saying, that the ideology of Israel at this time?
I agree. But the question is, here is involved power politics at the hands of Israel, and they are showing all aggression. Israel itself has become a terrorist state.
Yes.
If you see its policies around, and America supports them. America supports them through White House, through UN, and even indirect channel. Many Islamic countries, won't go to name them. They if you, for example, use oil as a weapon, Saudi Arabia won't do it.
The question is at this time that, when, let's talk about the public pressure, for example, the public pressure that is building even as we speak against what Israel is doing. You can't, like you spoke about this, and we've seen the outcry from the US public itself. The governments on the one hand and the people of countries on the other hand, it is now a time when you can't hide what's happening. You yourself said this, that we are living in a time at a time where everything is obvious and clear, and even when you try to spin different kind of narratives, they don't work. And we saw inaccurate information earlier on, which was quickly rebutted by images that were coming out of Gaza, the reality of what was happening in Gaza. And now for the public to pressurize their governments is perhaps, whether, of course, peaceful demonstrations, but the kind of demonstrations that we are seeing, the kind of outcry that we are seeing on social media, also physically when we look at the rallies, may be the only way.
I don't know how I can answer this, but public pressure will matter if it's shown in the Western countries like Paris, like London, New York, Washington DC. That will matter. But if that's real public pressure, so far this public pressure is not that much which can mold American policies toward Israel, number one. Number two, you see pressures in Islamic countries. I believe Islam, instead of pressure, our policy makers should go for that. They are all sitting there in OIC.
But isn't it true that when you look at the latest, the perception at this time, the perception of Israel has changed dramatically. If we look at the surveys and we look at how, people, their own Western countries, population themselves, the public themselves are viewing the action of Israel because of the images that are coming out, because of the statistics that are consistently rebutting any kind of false narrative that is being spun by governments. So the way that people are looking at Israel, even public within Western countries, even in countries that are supporting Israel, is not, they're not looking at it the way their governments, they are looking at the actual images of people dying, children dying in hospitals, of there being, no, as far as utilities are concerned, no water, the kind of, the way the humanity is suffering is right before us.
I fully don't agree with that.
Okay.
But
you don't think the perception?
But here the question is that what's going on, lamentable, immense suffering there.
Yes.
But if you see pressure on Israeli government, I believe this Benjamin Netanyahu feels more secure now than he was a few months ago. And they claim that we have been attacked and lots of suffering here on Israel. There are two sides of coin. And if you look into diplomacy, there is truth and there are lies. There are some, you show your cards and many times you don't show. Unfortunately, our Islamic countries diplomatically, diplomacy-wise, not very strong. Being economically not very strong, or being not democratic setup, the many things. But our sympathies, people's sympathies
are with the people of Palestine.
People of Gaza, Palestinians.
And the Muslim world, of course, stands in solidarity with those that suffer in Gaza.
Intellectual or whatever, people like us, we believe that some concrete outcome comes up.
Yes, inshallah. Let me come back to you. I'm going to go to Dr. Hameed. Dr. Hameed, unfortunately, we're running out of time, and we, would like your last comments on as far as what the situation in Gaza is concerned, and of course, whether you feel that this kind of perception, as far as what the actions of Israel is actually changing in the eyes of most people around the world.
I mean, definitely due to the, I would say the access of media and due to the immediate information, the world have seen the real face of Israel, how atrocities they are doing for the last 50, 60 years. And now that's why across the globe, the world perception have changed about Israel and about their settlements and about that apartheid, which is going on for the 5 decades. And generally the global, regardless of religion, the sympathies are with Palestinian, and it is the time to enforce the two-state solution for the longer run peace in the Palestine and Israel, which has been agreed. I mean, that is the only way out. American and everybody has to agree on two-state solution for the peace of region, and if they want a long-term solution, that is the only way out. Ceasefire and then talk about the two-state solution, and that is the only way I believe, and the world would have supported it, and world have understood that this is the only solution, two-state solution for Palestine and Israel, where
Right,
Jerusalem and
fair
Tel
enough.
Aviv.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mansoor, Akbar, Kundi. Thank you so much for your very valuable input. Dr. Hamid Almashrqi, thank you for joining us on this very important topic. We pray and hope that there is a ceasefire in Gaza very, very soon. I'm going to be moving on to our second segment. We have with us Zahid Gishkori, and of course, the politics at this time, as far as overall upcoming elections are concerned. What can we expect from the next couple of weeks? Zahid Saab, can you hear me?
Yes, Mahrukh.
Gee, Zahid Saab, there is, you saw what's happening at this time in, Sindh also. We saw, as far as the PMLN is concerned, the alliances that are underway at this time. Some of them we've seen as far as Karachi is concerned, Sindh is concerned, overall, the way it's going to impact politics on the national level. How do you look at that?
I think it seemed to be a very positive development that some political parties are mobilizing people, and they are going to join hands with different political parties, even the regional political parties in provinces. And it's a good omen for democracy and the elections. It has been complaints everywhere that there is no level playing field for some political parties, but it's a good thing that Pakistan People's Party and the statement given by Bilawal Bhutto Zardari were also quite encouraging. That they say that they are going to participate in these elections. It doesn't matter that level playing field is available to political parties or not, but we are here to contest elections. This is a good statement, and obviously PMLN is also at this stage of time when we are debating and discussing Pakistan politics, apparently taking lead on different fronts, and this leadership also engaging different dissident leaders, different political parties.
What do you expect the scenario to be in Sindh after this alliance?
In Balochistan as well, we know this, that former Prime Minister and the PMLN top leadership is going to engage Baloch leaders on this Tuesday, and there could be a possibility that PMLN and other political parties would join in Balochistan. So it looks, on the other hand, is the IPP, the newly established party by Jahangir Khan Tareen. It's also gaining momentum in Punjab. We have seen it. And good, interesting news is, as a journalist for me, is that in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, even some of political leaders are joining PTI again. And we have seen a couple of political gatherings by PTI in the province.
If you can allow me to interject, what do you expect to happen as far as Sindh is concerned? Do you expect the PMLN to make significant inroads?
Political ground, keep changing with days and weeks to come. I hope so. But momentum political parties are trying to create at the moment. PMLN have good playing field, I think, because one thing is the leadership of the party and the members of the party stand united. And we have seen this, that no one left the party, and it's a good thing for the party. And obviously for PPP as well, no one was leaving the party. So it seemed that the major contest could be at this stage of time that between the three parties, but might be PMLN getting good momentum, and then the Pakistan People's Party, and obviously Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf would grab the vote. But we don't know that what would happen to their top leadership, and because more than 70 member parliament of the party left already, and they denounced and shown their disassociation with the party. So it created a trouble following post 9th May episode for the party. It looks like that it would take some time, maybe a year, maybe 1.5 year, or maybe more than that. That party would see rehabilitation and reconstruction and rebuilding. So it's unfortunately, but
let me
it
come
happened.
back to you. We have with us Javed Jadoon Sahab also, and then I will come back to you. Javed Sahab, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure, I can.
Javed Sahab, there is, these alliances that are happening at this time. We are also looking at the PMLN in particular, of course, starting the process of awarding tickets. There is talk about that. There is movement with regard to all political parties at this time. Do you expect there to be, what kind, do you feel that, perhaps the momentum is yet to pick up as far as the elections are concerned? Or do you think that, the parties are now, going full throttle into looking at options as far as alliances are concerned? Of course, Sindh being one of those areas which we've seen, considerable movement there with the PMLN and its, allies now as far as MQM is concerned.
Thank you, Mahrukh. I think elections environment is not there. Election campaign by different political parties hasn't yet even started in Pakistan. You don't see the kind of a hustle and bustle which takes place before the elections. You don't even see the kind of alliances and the kind of coalitions being formed as far as political parties are concerned. I'm talking about the like-minded political parties. Though we have seen in the recent days and recent weeks that Pakistan Muslim League and Muttahida Qawmi movement, they have started getting closer, but I don't see the kind of a body language which proves that there is going to be some like-minded parties getting together to contest elections on one platform against the other like-minded political parties. I think it's a very fluid situation. The political parties probably are still getting the momentum which is not there. Unless and until you start campaigning, you go out and start holding public rallies and you see the kind of response they are going to get from the people at large. And if people do express their support, they come out in large numbers to support their respective political party, then I think we would be able to see some kind of election mode which country is going to get into. But as far as the situation right now
is it, would you say it's a little too early at this time? And also, we are still, as far as the PTI is concerned, we're looking at more defections. People leaving the party, people leaving politics, so to speak. And then there's also, we've seen, things that are coming out as far as their people, and in terms of, we saw what reports of Faragogi and, the passport, and whether, those findings, whatever they may lead to, indicate there are, other, as far as, what was happening at that time, or what these allegations can amount to in the future also.
Mahrukh, as far as Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf is concerned, the party is in total disarray. Its first, second, and third tier leadership is absent from the political scene. Mostly they are in jails, and some are hiding, and some are not able to come out and start their campaign. But I think, in my personal opinion, I see a very different reason for election campaign not being picking up. The reason is that political parties are totally devoid of any strategy. They are totally devoid of any election agenda or the main talking points, for example, how they're going to set the economy right and how they're going to bring relief to the people of Pakistan. Mahrukh, we see that the inflation is still hovering around 30%, which is a very, very, I think, challenging situation for all political parties. Now, the problem is if you don't have the kind of a strategy, a very clear agenda. I'm talking about the political, economic, social, and other agendas. Then I think the people are not going to get traction as far as their political campaigning is concerned. I feel the kind of a void which is being created as far as the parties are concerned. Look at Pakistan Muslim League N. Their supreme leader is back in Pakistan.
Isn't it too early, because we are still awaiting the ECP to give a schedule in that regard? We are also looking at parties like the PMLN who formed committees, for manifesto, formulation of the manifesto and what they're going to be looking at in the next elections. Perhaps then, we will see a pickup overall as in terms of, what all political parties can bring to the table.
But Mahrukh, it is very important what they have to offer to the people of Pakistan in terms of manifestos. Election campaign, okay, I understand what you are saying. Once the Election Commission of Pakistan announces the schedule, then they can go for the election campaign. But what I'm saying is they are devoid of any particular, any holistic, any cohesive kind of political manifesto, because the kind of a challenges Pakistan is faced with. That is the point which I'm trying to highlight.
Okay, let me come back to you. I'm going to go to Zahid Saab on this. Zahid Saab, do you agree with this? Do you think that, overall there's a rethink at this time among all political parties on, what they can bring to the people, what, they will offer the people of Pakistan in the upcoming elections? With respect to that, perhaps that is where the deliberations are at this time, as far as political parties are concerned?
I 100% agree to the point made by my colleague here. Obviously, we have not seen any from any major political parties. They are going to announce their manifesto that challenges country and the state and Pakistan. Obviously, is facing. What is the solution they are going to give to the people of Pakistan? Many challenges, the first of all, obviously Pakistan economy, the inflation and the uncertainty, and Pakistan is under debt, and there are many challenges, multi-pronged challenges. We have not seen any political parties coming up to tell us their voters and people in their manifestos, because we have 86 days to go. It's not enough time. Otherwise, it has been uncertainty everywhere, but now the Election Commission of Pakistan...
in terms of the maturity of our electorate, so to speak, how would you rate, in the sense that, we don't want to underestimate our voter, of course, but overall, you think that the public, how much of where your vote is going to be for any, for the public at large, is going to depend on what each party can offer them economically, the policies they can offer? Do you think that that's going to matter? How much of it is going to matter to the public at large, in your opinion?
I think this is a very important question. Listen, Mahrukh, it has been uncertainty everywhere in Pakistan, and people want a new government with fresh mandate, and the government which could take the decision at least to ease the patience and ease the challenges and the hardships of the people of Pakistan. And we don't know that which political party became gaining more momentum or forming the government. But one thing is very important: if Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf announced boycott in this upcoming election, then obviously election could be controversial.
When we talk about parties like the PMLN and the PPP, as far as the PMLN is concerned, would it be, in your opinion, and I'm not taking any one political party, but when we look at things as far as the PMLN is concerned, they perhaps would be looking at their before 2018, and the way as far as CPAC is concerned, those what they can bring, what they have done in terms of those, in in their past performance in that regard. If you look at the PPP, their social, uplifting, their agenda with regard to that will probably remain in focus. Is that what you expect from these two major political parties?
Obviously, no doubt that Pakistan Muslim League Noon has very good team and they have the experience, and Pakistan People's Party also can deliver if it gets the opportunity to form the government. But it looks like at this stage of time that in case one of any party gets the opportunity to form the government in the center, then obviously they have experience in the past to how to overcome the challenges, how to deal with the economy. They have a team, they have a plan, and now they are also mobilizing people as well, and they have an extra edge on Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf at this stage of time. As my colleague said, this is the PTI, the first, the second, and third tier leadership even also not coming into the public because there are certain reasons, the post-9th May episode and the crackdown by the institution. Either they are facing corruption cases, as you mentioned, a definite case of Farah Shehzadi is now in the limelight, and many other people as well. The NAB started crackdown against a different person, anti-corruption department. So it's not a new normal. Otherwise, it's a not very new thing. In other case, if you recall, we were discussing in your show in 2018, in 2017 when the elections were announced and other political parties were not getting level playing field as the PTI was getting this. It has been a history, unfortunately, in Pakistan, but now it happened to PTI, and obviously two political parties have an extra edge. And we don't know, we are not supporting any party, we are sitting on the fence as a journalist, but at this stage, it looks like that Pakistan Muslim League Noon has a plain ground at the moment, it looks like. But what would happen next week? What would happen to cases up there?
Let me go to Zahid Saab. Let me go to Javed Saab. Zahid Saab, I'll come back to you. Javed Saab, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure, I can.
Javed Saab, there is, this is maybe an ideological question, so to speak, but I think it's an important one. Do you think it's going to, as far as ideologies are concerned, as far as manifestos are concerned, as far as, what policies are concerned, how much of it, I think, does it matter for our, people, our voters, so to speak? How much would it matter to the average voter? What ideology, what manifesto each political party brings to the table today, in your opinion, this elections, and how much of it is about electables, heavyweights who have their own constituencies, who have their own vote bank, who think that they can, bring that seat to the table?
I think that is an important question. When you say that whether the manifestos matter, absolutely. In this particular environment and at this point in time, I think if you look at the demographic composition of Pakistan, 65 to 70% population is a young population with the ages less than 30. They have their own aspirations, they have got their own challenges, they are coming out of the education institutions, there are no jobs, and the country really can't, the government sector can't absorb, and the private sector is really in deep trouble because of so many reasons: expensive electricity, gas, no infrastructure, some of the industry is still closed down. So if you look at the situation from people's perspective, from the perspective of the voters and the electorate, I think they would be looking towards the political parties for a really innovative and out-of-box solutions of their problems. And unfortunately, the political parties, including Pakistan Muslim League and Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, Pakistan People's Party, they have nothing to offer to the people. You really can't fool the people. It's the social media. The social media has brought about a paradigm shift as far as Pakistan's political landscape is concerned. You really can't fool the people. You really can't fool the electorate. If you have some kind of a manifesto, out-of-box solutions, if you can resolve I mean, if you
Those
can.
are what the major political parties are working on at this time. Let's hope that they can come up with those kind of solutions for the people. You know, they can bring those out-of-box solutions. They can bring those, you know, adjustments, perhaps, you know, that may revitalize Pakistan. Let's hope that we will see more of that in the upcoming elections. Thank you so much for being with us. Zahid Gishkori Saab, thank you for joining us today. Javed Jadoon Saab, thank you for your very valuable input on this very important topic. Overall, of course, we will know closer to the elections, but at this time there is, of course, a move. We are looking at new alliances. We are, you know, going to be looking at manifestos coming out. We are going to be looking at political parties, you know, bringing to the table what they will, you know, telling the people what they will bring to the table, telling their voters what they can do for them. And I think most of the voters, most of the, you know, their vote bank at this time wants to channelize that, is looking forward to hearing what each political party can do for them, can do for Pakistan. And of course, closer to in the next couple of weeks, we'll be seeing a lot more of that. Thank you so much for joining us today on Perspective.